So I got to ring Mega Eagle. Oh. Alright folks, how you doing? Okay, so this is my glorious old cement mixer that I picked up a couple of months ago, you might remember, and it's about time that we sorted it out and got it running, because I need to cast some roof and wall sections for the underground workshop, yeah, the underground bunker workshop, yeah. So I thought it was Irish. I mean, this company's Irish, Max Mixum. It's just you know, a small fabricators in Ireland, but this one's actually built in England, so don't know what's going on there really. Maybe they got a bit popular. Incredibly well made mixer, you know, everything about it is nice and heavy and built to last, and you know, just going and going. A couple of little problems with this. We haven't got an engine, so I've just got one of my spare A1s in here. This engine itself is a little bit special. This isn't fitted properly, by the way. I just rested it in there to see if it actually fit in this lid that someone made for it. This isn't the original lid. I think someone had put an electric motor in here. These bits came out of it. Yeah, they definitely aren't factory fresh, are they? And you know, just a few little details on this lid make it appear like it was, you know, someone like me that made it. Either way, so we'll have to make a new lid. We'll have to get this engine fitted properly. There's the chain. It does have a chain with it, and it's touching the crankshaft of the engine, so hopefully it won't take too much messing around to get this working. And there is fortunately a sprocket on the back of there which seems to be right for that chain. Either way, problems that I've seen. The engine's no problem, we'll get that on quick enough. There's something missing from the bottom of this bearing here, and there's grease spewing out, so I'm a little bit worried about that. I need to pull it apart to check that, otherwise I probably wouldn't have pulled the whole thing apart, but seeing as though I want to satisfy myself that that bearing's not completely shagged, it's coming apart now. That's that. What else? That data plate. Obviously this data plate is brass, so we've got to clean all the cement off and polish it up and then repaint it. That's probably the most important job. Yeah, if you've got a brass data plate and you don't have it shone up, I don't know what it says about you, but I don't want to find out, you know. Right, the original wheels were absolutely gorgeous, riveted up out of 3 pieces, you know, solid rivets, and then screwed to this flange, bolted to this flange. Let's see, that's, I don't think those wheelbarrow wheels are original. You can see the rivets on this one. Pretty cool how they've done that. Either way, they're completely rotted away. And one of the things I've seen online about these mixers is a lot of people say they're a bit tippy and they fall over, and certainly moving it around, that's I can see that being the case. So I've got some trailer wheels, same sort of diameter, 8 inches, but nice heavy duty tyres, and the axles that come with them. So we're going to graft the axle onto these original axles and try and stick them out another 4 or 5 inches on each side, and it should be a lot easier that way. It really is unstable, isn't it, hey? Right, try and get it back upright and into the shed. Okay, I was going to take the drum off outside, but I ended up having to weld a nut onto this bolt to take the bearing cap off, and then it sheared anyway, which is a bit of an arse because I could have just drilled it out outside and then used the crane to disassemble it. The other bolt came out alright, the bearing cap came off alright, and we got some lovely grease in there, which is a fantastic omen, isn't it, eh? Because the worst thing for me to have found right now would have been a completely dry and buggered up bearing, wouldn't it, eh? But this looks promising. Look at the fucking bearing cap, eh? It's like, I don't know how much that weighs. This is half a kilo, a pound, like probably more to be honest, maybe a kilo. there's a fair old lump of metal covering that up. Beautiful rubber seal on it as well. We'll try and save all this, obviously. I can probably reuse that seal. It's not dried out or gone nasty or anything. I suppose it's been cocooned in cement all this time, isn't it, eh? Yeah. A little bit of resistance here. I'm not entirely sure which side we're meant to be pushing this out from. Go on. Hang on a minute. Well, there's that for starters. Okay, so that bit was in between the bearing and the sprocket, and then we've got the sprocket. It doesn't look like there's anything else loose in between the sprocket and the next bearing. Yeah. Yeah, watch your teeth. Okay.
Well,
that is Mr. Sprockotane was. There's another loose bit in there. Oh, look at that. That's a nice sprocket. Should we put it on your bicycle?
Yeah.
Eh? Yeah. On that motorbike that I still haven't fixed, eh?
Yeah, that little one.
Yeah, one day.
We'll definitely cut that on, won't we?
Oh, that's another proper bearing in there. Go on, put that hammer handle back in then. And hit the end of that.
With the soft bit though.
Whichever. I don't even fussed at this point. Just get it out of there. Get it out. There we go. You just hit my hand at the moment, so don't go any further. Well, that shaft is out, isn't it?
What shaft?
That shaft. Or shaft.
Oh, that big long one.
Shaft. Ah, my duck. I got the shaft out. Okay. Just so I don't forget how this goes. Another little spacer in between that bearing and this bearing. There's bearings everywhere on this mixer now, aren't there? Eh?
Yeah.
So that was the well, there's two bearings in there. My days. Oh, there's one big oh no, there are two bearings. Of course there's two bearings in there. Otherwise there wouldn't have been enough bearings, would there? There's one bearing there, a double bearing pack there, at least one more there. I reckon they've put another two bearings in there. You know what these guys are like. No one can say that they haven't supported these rotating assemblies correctly, have they? Hey? Maybe a little bit too correctly. Okay, so it's welding Wednesday with the boy. We try and get in the shed every Wednesday. Tomorrow's Frenchman Thursday with the eldest girl. We go out and mess around with a bow and arrow. Anyway, sorry I didn't manage to catch it all on the camera, but she's broken up into big bits. Beautiful mixer. Beautiful mix. I know you like it's a bit silly getting excited about a cement mixer, but this the weight of these components is it's quite something. Oopsie daisy. Double bearing in here. This is one of 5 bearings in the engine side of things. You know, I don't know, 4. One on the outside, double one on the inside, and then one to carry the yoke on this side. Another one at that end in there still. Yeah, it all looks pretty straightforward. The bit of bearing damage that I was worried about hasn't really touched the bearing. It's just this is a fabricated piece. The bearing sits in this flat piece here. I need to strip this all down still, but it's just the cover to keep the grease in that's come off. I don't know where it's gone. But that should be fairly easy to rectify if I can get a bit of strip of metal, that sort of width, and bend it up and weld it back on. Maybe I'll have to put this whole assembly in the lathe just to skim it to make sure it's flat. That, again, that's not the end of the world. It's not tricky or anything. We can do that quite easily. I think what I want to do is get the axles sorted first, so we'll clean the cement and rust off them, get the axles fitted, then I can paint these, and at the same time get the engine lined up, make sure that engine will fit, get the engine running. I need to check the gearing on the engine and then figure out if that gearing is going to be okay on the mixer, and then do little bits like this, repair this, get the whole thing painted, throw it back together, and we'll have a mixer, folks, eh? Oh, it can't be bad, can it? Okay, so this is the front axle for the mixer. A few things I've noticed. It's got the attachment point for the handle. This has been made by someone, so I think originally it attached where these bolts are, but this has sort of been snot welded on and bolted, these two, which, you know, you could probably do a tidying up. This pivot post here is quite badly bent and worn. Not that bad, but more concerning to me, this is obviously a very heavy mixer, and it will take, you know, we'll get a couple of 100 kilos of muck in it as well, 400 pounds, whatever, 440 I suppose. I don't know what's going on with this axle, because this has been added by someone else, this washer at the end here. And the axle's slightly bent, it's worn as well. So what I was thinking originally I'd do is take my new spindles for the trailer wheels and bore them out, slip them over the outside of this axle, and, you know, weld them. But I'll be welding onto this washer, which has been itself bodge welded onto here, and I think just because of the number of things wrong with it, and I don't want to be having any problems with this in the future, I'm just going to make a whole new axle, to be honest. It's going to be easier and more robust. Yeah.
People are more speculative towards the Reddit threads, and it seems that most people like to pay and reappeared with a new call sign, MDZHB. UVB76 was the original call sign, and technically it's not even the appropriate name for the radio station anymore, but a Wayback Machine. And in their detailed report of this location, it notes that it's in a military town inside of a bunker.
Okay, so the front axle is pretty much done. The observant amongst you might have noticed that I had 2 bits of metal on the faceplate of the lathe there. This one is to go on the chassis side of the turntable. I took a couple of rings out of here. I'm going to join them up with a grinder and then pop a grease nipple on the other side of this so that we can actually get grease on the bearing surface there. And hopefully I can still use the original handle because it's all twisted and fucked up and I quite like it. Yeah.
This kid rolls up to his job like this. Where do you work?
To admit eventually that he had been outstripped by this new.
Okay, so I did a little bit of a mod to this scabby old handle. God, that's beautiful, isn't it? Hey, so we just put a couple of bushes in there. It wants a bit of slop in it, you know. It's important that it has a bit of slop in there. Okay, so this is the rear axle of the mixer, and we want to get the trailer spindles on here, and also add another few inches. Everyone wants another few inches, don't they? Hey? Yeah, this is going to be a lot easier. All I'm going to do is hack the spindle off here, force this bit of pipe over the larger diameter there, and then we'll turn the back end of this axle down, the spindle down, and ram that in, and then weld around the outsides. This should be pretty quick. Okay, so I thought this was a nice heavy wall bit of pipe, but it's only 2.5 wall thickness, and it is a tiny bit baggy on there. So we'll go hardcore, and this is a bit of 50mm, slightly larger diameter than this, which is good. And we're just going to end up boring. We'll take a chunk of that off, boring it down. I might turn up the. I might put a round on here first. Yeah, so I know what diameter I'm working with on the stub, and then we'll get a press fit on this round and that round on the internals of this. Maybe a nice little taper on the outside, I don't know. But once again, what was a simple little job is going to turn into a heavy machining operation, but that's okay. This is the forever mixer. After all, this mixer I want to last forever.
That she had made a $6,000 contribution to Boston's Forgotten Felines at some point in the past, and that the Kickstarter funds had all been spent.
Okay, we got the stub axles welded on to the original mixer axle there to make one big chunky axle. That's nice, isn't it? Hey? 20 tons of force and then a big fat weld. That shouldn't come off. Yeah. So let's turn our attention now to the motor, the engine. It's lovely little petter. Proper little engine, these things, you know. Like, it's got a proper cartridge air filter, oil filter and fuel filter in this. But I'm not going to change them quite yet. I've never run this engine up. I don't have a start. I've got 2 more of these engines. I've got no starter handle for them. So I'm just going to make a starter handle. Okay, so I've just finished making a crank handle for this thing. Needs a long nose on it. My nose is too long. Yeah, this is touching the flywheel. It's got to go through a plate that engages the pushing this into the starter assembly engages the sprockets in it, and then these are the dogs that actually hook onto the starter. Unfortunately, this engine's, I thought it was just going to be a bit sticky, but it's pretty tight. So rather than try and break my new starter handle or destroy the starter mechanism there, I'm going to just leave it sat with some penetrating oil in the pot, and then try and turn it over tomorrow on the output side of the engine rather than on the starter side, because it's not designed to take as much torque as the output is. These engines, you get them spinning over and then dump the decompression valve in it to actually start it. So really there's very little torque involved. It's nice and heavy, but still there's no point risking screwing it up. Yeah, I'm a little bit unhappy. I did preserve these engines, but I mean I never started them up when I got them. I got a job lot of free engines. I just had a look at the other 2. There's one that's nice and free, but that's a 3000 RPM 3 horse engine, whereas this is a 1500 RPM 1.5 horse engine, which is perfect for this mixer. We can use the other engine. It'll just mean taking the governor out of this one and sticking it on there. But we'll see if we can get this one going. Hopefully the rings haven't done too much damage to the bore, but there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Well, there's several ways to find out, but we're going to take the easy option and just try and start the fucking thing in it. Alright. Okay, Jimmy's top tips on unsticking an engine there. Yeah, it's pretty rare that I have to do something like this, because if someone's left an aeroplane so long that the engine's seized, it's an overhaul job, not a scratch the damage out with a bit of emery cloth, but all the same. I've already got a load of Kero in the bottom. I don't have enough penetrating oil to throw it in here, so I've got kerosene in the crankcase and sloshed that around, turn the engine upside down so it gets on the oil control ring. Oil control ring's at the bottom. That's the delicate one, the one that's most likely going to get buggered up when we try and turn this thing over. So that's important, getting it both sides of the rings. I thought the decomp was on the inlet, which makes no sense at all, so I don't know why I thought that. So I pulled the inlet off, was going to just tip the Kero that side. That way we'll have oil both sides of the rings, and it will be a lot more likely that we'll get this thing unstuck. It's very nice in the rocker box here, but what we'll have to do, to save me taking the exhaust off as well and disturbing that, we'll just drop the Kero in the inlet. So we can see it. Oh, it's a big old inlet track, but there we go. And then we'll just press the valve open, and should just disappear inside the barrel like that. Okay, I liberated the brass plaque from this machine. It was all caked in cement. Yeah. I just splashed some acid on it and cleaned it off. It's got some useful info there. Got the drum RPM and the drum drive shaft RPM, so we can figure it all out without having to count all the teeth. So I'll just count the teeth up on the sprockets on the chain drive, and I'll be able to figure out if I need this engine in its 750 RPM or 1500 RPM mode. Yeah, output which shaft I'm going to use on the engine, whether it's driven off the camshaft or the crank. Interestingly, it originally had a Villiers, so that would have been a petrol engine probably. Villiers did make a couple of really rare diesel engines, so this is almost certainly a little petrol engine that it should have had in here. 1969. I actually thought this was a bit later than that, to be honest. You know, it's very 70s, very 70s looking machine, isn't it? I thought, you know, it's probably 70s or 80s, but well, 69 is pretty much the 70s, isn't it? A lot of things happening then. Okay, so I did some calculations. Just there's the governor screw, by the way. And it's got loads of travel to wind it in. So the idea with these things is, you know, they're single speed engines. They're called single speed engines. You know, there's no idle. There's nothing like that. It's just start them up and they'll run at the governed speed. And we can adjust the governed speed, give or take. I'm not sure how much we got there. I think from what I've read, there's 100 RPM or so you can gain or lose on that, but yeah, I don't know really. Either way, I did some calculations and counted the teeth on the sprockets, and to get we got the RPM of drum drive shaft 200 RPM. Obviously, this was meant for a Villiers petrol engine. Drum drive shaft 200 RPM. Driven sprocket is 76 tooth, drive sprocket is 14 tooth, so that's a reduction ratio of 5.4. 200 RPM drum drive shaft speed times the 5.4. So originally we would have wanted an engine RPM of about 1080. Can I get this engine up to 1080? Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It's going up from 750 RPM to 1080. If I just run it at the 750 RPM, I'll end up with a drum shaft speed of 138, which is a little bit on the slow side. If I have it in the 1500 RPM setting, using the 1500 RPM shaft on this engine, I'll end up with that shaft turning, the drive shaft turning at 277. Fucking trains. It's only a little one. Okay, he's gone. So yeah, I really want a reduction. If I was going to leave the engine as is, I'd want a reduction of 3.7. which means using the 76 tooth sprocket, I'd need a 20 tooth sprocket on the bottom. So definitely the thing for me to do is to try and adjust this engine rather than mess around with this. So we'll try and get the engine going. Maybe not today. I think I'll fire it up, but I won't try and reset it until I've got the oil and filter change. I'll just put some gas oil in it for now. I've got some cheap tractor oil, we'll throw in it and try and get it running, and then I'll probably only want to leave it running and try and adjust the speed once I've given her a service, to be honest, because who knows what's sat in the bottom of that crankcase, eh? It could be anything in there. Mice, weevils, pigeons, I don't know, toenails, whatever. So yeah, let's attack it from that angle, and if we can't get the speed out of it, I've got a little mechanical tacho we can poke on the end of there. Someone, a model plane enthusiast, gave it to me because he wasn't using it anymore. He's got an electronic one, so I've got a nice Swiss made shaft tacho that I can stick on the end of that, and we'll see what she's turning out and whether or not we can get her up to 1080. If we can, it's perfect, spinning the right direction and everything. Yeah, so I need to go and fetch some diesel or pull it out of the truck and sort that little thing out. I'll stick her on a plank of wood, I think, so it doesn't tumble, and then we'll try and fire it up. They're obnoxious little things, you know. Hey, stinks in here now. Yeah, let's try and start it once more. That was they had the heat gun on it for about 20 minutes, so it was basically at running temperature before it even started running. Oh no, my pin's come out. Bollocks. Oh well, that needs a bit more attention, doesn't it? Okay, what we on? Run. Doesn't need anything else, does it? All the way over. Bit warm now. There was no clanking that time. Maybe it's just the oil pump building up pressure. The clanking's pretty normal though. Clank, 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 clank. They are nice little engines, proper little engines, you know. There's a whole drivetrain, you know, geared train's super heavy duty because obviously we've got the output shaft on the camshaft, and the gears in the front end of them are humongous. Oil pumped, all filtered, everything's filtered, proper filter on the air filter in it, not like one of these sponge filters. Fuel filter, oil filter, all in a little 1.5 horsepower diesel engine. The air's horrible in here. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. We've got the wheels sorted out. We haven't got them on, but the stub axles are mounted. Whole thing stripped down. Some of it's ready for paint. Some of it, no, none of it's ready for paint. A lot of it's ready for shot blasting. Got an engine running, and what we know that there's not too much damage on the bearings for us to sort out. Yeah, so right, I suppose catch me again pretty shortly for the next episode where we'll have to service that engine. We'll get the main two bits, or the wheels and the chassis, hopefully painted up, and then we can fit the engine, maybe order a chain if we have to, and look at the little repair that needs to be done. Yeah. Alright, take it easy folks, bye bye. Effortless. Absolutely stinks though. Need to get some proper diesel in it before we run it much more. Alright, see you later guys, bye bye.